Hey guys, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know for the AP Psychology exam. I cannot say everything content-wise because that will generally take years, but I can tell you everything about the test and to making sure you're actually getting an effort to get points. So the AP Psychology exam consists of MCQs and FRQs, multiple choice questions, and there's 2 FRQs. There's an AQ, which is article analysis, and then EBQ, evidence-based question. MCQ is 75 questions in 90 minutes. It seems like it's hard, but compared to like other classes, like tell me why one of the APs has 55 questions in 55 minutes. With that time you have, that's about 1 minute and 12 seconds per question, and I know it still seems bad. Not even kidding, some questions can take 10 seconds and others can take a minute and a half too. But my 2 main tips are to use that little cross out thing, so you click it and it crosses out your answer, and there's always going to be like 2 you're indecisive about, but then pick your best guess, but do not skip the question. Anyways, the FRQs are 70 minutes in total, 35 for each. It seems bad, but it's not at all. Me personally, I need more time on the EBQ. I genuinely think 35 minutes might be more than enough for me for the AAQ. So for the AAQ, first you need to know the research method, and I remember the acronym ECCNM, which is experiment, case study, correlational, naturalistic observation, and meta-analysis. Experiment, random assignment, or when the researcher is manipulating something. Correlational is when they're trying to find something alike between 2 things. Remember, correlation does not equal causation. Case study is when they're researching and or experimenting on a group in a specific amount of time, or it can be one person. Naturalistic observation is when they're just watching participants and like jotting down stuff and information. They do not manipulate. Even like a little tweaking, like making the participants listen to an audio, like they're not really doing anything, but that's something. Meta-analysis is like multiple studies, like a researcher gathered multiple studies for data. Then the operational definition, I made like an AP Psych related video, and a lot of people saying they were struggling with operational definition. When I tell you, for the people that know it's easy, you know how easy it is. It literally says it right there. Just make sure you have the time period and it has like examples or specifics. Like for example, stress in the study is determined by someone picking their fingernails, playing with their necklace in a duration of 90 minutes. Then it's going to ask the statistical significance of a word or a certain meaning or number, and it clearly defines it. Although sometimes I have trouble with that, but just put so many words and then you'll get it right. Example, on one of my tests, I kind of struggled with the statistical significance meaning, so I literally wrote that much. I didn't know what I was writing, but I got the point. Next, ethical guidelines. This will be the easiest question, but they also changed it this year. So for your ethical guidelines, you have protection from harm, informed consent, informed assent, confidentiality, debriefing, and IRB approval. I think that's all of them. Protection from harm is just protecting the participants from harm and making sure nothing happens for them. Confidentiality is making sure their information is like hidden. Informed consent is when an 18-year-old or older consents to doing the study. Assent is a minor and the parents have to sign basically. And debriefing is just telling the participants like after or before what's going on. And IRB is the constitutional board of where their study needs to be approved from before experimenting on the participants. Like if I wanted to see what happened to humans if they got no sleep for 1 month and I told the IRB that, they would not approve of that because no. This year you need to explain why it's that. Like for example, in the study for informed assent, if it says blah blah blah, participants blah blah blah, oh by the way, participants parents signed for the children for this study to get all this data from. Then you're going to say one ethical guideline applied in this study is informed assent. Researchers obtain parent signatures for the minors to participate in the study. Then you're seeing if the study is generalizable or not to a specific representation. In my full 9 months of doing AP Psych, I have never said the study is generalizable. I always say not because it's way better and way easier in a way. I guess generalizable is easier. It's way better because I feel more confident in my answer, because sometimes you could say this study is generalizable and then have the wrong answer. So I always say it is not. Like, for example, if the source in the study says for students in this suburban high school, then for saying it's not generalizable, you can say this study is not generalizable to rural high school students because the sample only included suburban high school students, which may not reflect the characteristics of students in rural educational settings. But if you want to be those little weirdos who say yes, I'm sorry, I'm not being mean, you could say the study is generalizable to suburban high school students because the sample included participants, which this is what they always have, gender, race, backgrounds, they always have that. And you can say at the end, which is representative of this group. All of what I just told you about the AAQ is 1 point each. So far you scored all 5 out of 7 points. What's the last thing? Now you need to determine whether or not the hypothesis is refuted or supported. Now, in the first paragraph, always kind of toward the ends of the paragraph, it will literally say hypothesis. Something, it might say the word hypothesis, the researchers assume, the researchers guess, something like that. Then you need to go scroll down to the bottom where it says the results, and it's so easy to see whether or not it connects or it doesn't. If it does, it's supported. If it doesn't, it's refuted. So you say the hypothesis, let's say it's supported, then you say this hypothesis is supported because the results show, then you say what it shows, and then you can explain, like, this evidence demonstrates. For the second part I just said, for the results show, just put the evidence. Then that's 2 points, then you get a 7 out of 7. Lastly, for the EBQ. Don't get me wrong, I think I'm gonna do fine on the EBQ. My one thing is just like making a claim that I feel 100% confident in, because sometimes I feel 70%, 10%, and the terms. There's going to be 3 sources, and you're going to use 2. Say it. I'm going to use 2. And you'll know what I mean in a second. Your first part, you're going to make a claim, and it has to be based off the topic that they give you. Say if your sources are about ways for students to have a better educational system, then your claim is going to ask about something specific, and you're going to link that to the sources to develop a claim. And do not do your claim on what is 100% easy for you or what you are feeling that day. Base it off on what the sources provide. Because for me, on my practice things, there's always 2 sources talking about one thing, and then one source is different. But you need 2 sources, so go for that. Don't go for this. Then for part BI, you are going to use evidence to support it. You literally don't have to like make a sentence before. Literally, the evidence states, source blank states, and source blank it states. Then you explain why it supports your claim. You have to connect it to a term. Think fast, but think. Another tip that I see a lot of people do is with your scratch paper during the MCQ, if you see, a psychology term, write it down quickly. Because for me, I literally know so many definitions, but sometimes the word just doesn't come to mind. But please do not use this perspective. Please. They're just so broad that you won't get the point. Then you have to define that term. You have to say the definition, which is, I barely have time left, but you connect that to the claim. That was part BII, but now for CI, you have to use another evidence, but it has to be from a different source. Then explain, use a different term, and then connect that back to the claim. You cannot use the same term, and you cannot use any terms in the sources. That's why I think it's going to take longer for me, because I'm going to make sure to try to read it and be like, oh wait, that word was in there. Let me not use that. All of that are also 7 points, and the BII and CII are each 2 points. Everything else is 1 point. Then boom, you get a 5, you do AP seminar, AP research, and you get the AP capstone diploma, and you're in Harvard. Boom. I hope you guys feel confident.